It's not every day you meet people with huge hearts who are passionate about their careers. Today, I had the opportunity to meet the woman who believes the future of the world is right in her classroom. I have my friend here, Lisa Robotham. Well, today I should call her Miss Robotham. She is our first TCM interview. She's going to tell us about her career in the education field and really what brought her here. So here's my friend Lisa.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for sitting down with us today.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited to have her. Like, this is like a long-term friend, but like she's so great at her job. So I had to get her in here to tell us all about her career. Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone who maybe doesn't know who you are that's watching?
Yes, sure. My name is Lisa Robotham. I am originally from Jamaica, West Indies, that is, not New York. And I grew up in Westbury, New York. It's in Long Island.
Nice. And then your role here at Coney Island Prep Middle School.
Obviously. I am currently a 5th grade English language arts teacher, and moving into the upcoming school year, I'll be the 5th grade vice principal.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is such a huge accomplishment.
Yes.
I mean, vice principal and you're under 30.
Yes.
Get you on that Forbes list. But I really wanted to bring you here today to talk about your career path. I think so many people see us in roles or see people in just these roles, but they don't really know what it means to get there.
Right.
So can you talk about like your career path, like where it all started and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, which is so ironic because I think back to high school when I was applying for schools, and my original dream was to be an obstetrician and gynecologist, and I wanted to be a doctor. And that stemmed from like seeing my brother. My brother is currently a resident at Long Island Jewish Hospital, so I saw his desire to become a doctor, and then I was like, oh, I love children. I want to work with children. So, and I wanted to go into medicine originally, and then after applying to go to colleges, I just decided that that wasn't a passion of mine anymore, and that I wanted to still work with children, but in a different capacity. So I decided that teaching would be a better fit for me, like my personality and who I am. And I went to Utica College, and I studied psychology and childhood education. And after graduating Utica, I was already certified as a general education teacher for grades 1 through 6. The road to get to becoming a teacher at Coney Island Prep was very difficult for me. And I say that because 2 years after graduating, my impression was that I was going to immediately go into a teacher role. And after unsuccessfully applying to jobs that I didn't get a teacher's position in, I became discouraged. And for 2 years, I worked at a daycare educational center in Brownsville, Brooklyn. And there I was able to hone in on some of my teaching skills. I worked in a infant classroom where kids were about 1 to 2 years old, and then I moved into the age 4 classroom. And there it was like preschool more than it was like daycare. So after I continued to apply for teaching positions because I knew that was just a stepping stone to where I needed to go. Then I remember applying to Coney Island Prep, and I live on Long Island, so to me I was just like, oh, this drive is going to be so hard for me. But I was so determined to continue my path of education that I knew that this is not where I wanted to stay. It was just a stepping stone to get where I wanted to be.
Got it.
So I applied to Coney Island Prep, and I got an interview, but I didn't apply as a teacher, classroom teacher. I applied as a teacher intern.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, obviously, that the pay was less. And I just said, you know what? This is my foot in the door. I'm going to take this opportunity. Sometimes you can't. You have to crawl. My mom always says you have to crawl before you can walk. So I decided that was what I wanted to do. That was my way into getting into the classroom. So I applied as a teacher intern, and I got the job, which I was really excited about. But I still knew that wasn't where I wanted to stay. But I was happy to be in a school setting because it was closer to the classroom than it was.
Exactly. Like being there, like close proximity to like where you want to go. Sometimes you have to like not do what you exactly picture in your mind, but like, just kind of get close to it.
And ideally, I didn't want to work at a middle school, but I still said it's still closer to the classroom than not. So I Mid-year through my internship, paid internship, the principal at the time asked me to be the 5th grade science and history teacher. I was like, oh my God, this is my chance. It's finally here. So for the rest of that school year, 2013-2014 school year, I was the 5th grade history and science teacher.
So you didn't even have to finish the internship throughout the full year before you got the offer?
No.
Well, what did you do within that time that made them say, like, oh no, Lisa has to become a teacher, like we don't need her as an intern anymore? Like, what was that?
I worked really hard. I made sure that I was coming to work on time, like showing the professional skills that I knew that I wanted to embody in the classroom was something that I was doing prior to getting into the classroom, because I wanted to show that I would be prepared. The way that the internship worked was that you would have to, basically like you're proving yourself that you can hold down a classroom that year as an intern before getting actually into the classroom. So the prize was the classroom, but if you weren't ready, they wouldn't allow you to become full-time classroom teacher. So I was actually super honored that I was asked to. When my principal came up to me, he didn't say like, we would like you to. He's like, you will be. He didn't give me a choice. He didn't give me an option. So it made me feel good though, that obviously he saw something in me. There was 2 interns at the time that he saw in me specifically that I should have been promoted to that role. So I was super excited, and I said, wow, look at all this hard work that I've put forth. And now it's finally happening. Nerve-wracking as it was, it's finally happening after so many years. So that was about 2.5 years post graduating with my undergrad.
Wow.
I contemplated. I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't think that I went into the right fields. Like, there's so many limited opportunities. At the time, the Department of Education for New York City was on a freeze.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes. So
I do remember that.
It was even more difficult for me to get into the classroom. But after teaching I taught history and science for a year and a half, school year and a half, and then I became the Ela Teacher, which is my current role right now. So I was an Ela Teacher this is my 3rd year. Third year as an Ela Teacher.
Wow.
And then the 5th grade vice principal role became vacant, and my current vice principal said, oh, I think that you should apply. And I was like, absolutely not.
Why did you think you shouldn't apply? I mean, like, I'm hearing all of these things. Like, you were an intern, but they put you in the teacher position right away. Like, people saw potential in you, obviously. Like, you're getting these, like, opportunities, even though you had to continue to work hard. Like, why did you think at that point now, after all these years of hard work you put in, you're like, me? Why? I don't know. Like, what was it?
I think that sometimes that we limit ourselves and we put ourselves in a bucket that we are incapable of doing things. And even as professionals, like, you see this dream that you want to accomplish, but it still seems so far away because you don't think that I didn't think that I was professionally ready to move into a role as big as leadership. Not at this point in my life. I think that it was a long-term goal, but it wasn't something that was as immediate as next year. So I just said to her, absolutely not. And then not only did she come to me, but several other of my colleagues came up to me and said that I think that you should. And I remember mentioning it to my mom, and she said, I think you should. I think that you are ready. I remember mentioning to my friends, and I think that you should, you are ready. And I was like, oh my God, I'm super nervous. And I said to myself, like, you don't hold yourself back. Because if all these people see this potential in you, why don't you see it in yourself? So I said to myself, it's either yes or no when it comes to them hiring you for promoting you as a vice principal. So you either do it and never find out, or do it and find out. So then I felt motivated that like so many people thought highly of myself. It's like, why don't you think as highly of yourself as these people think of you? I think that sometimes we're our biggest and harshest critics, and I think that's where that came from. And I have to say for myself, I'm most hard on myself, and I sometimes don't realize the impact that I have on other people. And how contagious that can be. So I applied, and super nervous, and I applied, and I felt when I walked out of my interview that I was like, you did a great job. You did it.
Good.
I was like, Lisa, you did an awesome job. And I said to myself, whether or not I was promoted into the position, I felt that I did something that I never thought I would be able to do. I think that leadership, like I said before, leadership was like an ultimate goal. It wasn't my immediate goal. So to find out that I will be vice principal, it's still like a surreal feeling, because like when I think about myself and like the whole journey to get to where I am right now,
Yeah.
it just seemed like, it feels surreal.
Aww.
It feels really surreal. So I'm excited about this new position, and it just feels like hard work truly pays off.
Yeah.
And like I say that to my kids every single day, like hard work truly pays off.
Right.
Or you go to college for this,
Yeah.
and to see it actually come into fulfillment is the most amazing feeling. I feel truly blessed to even be a part of this, such a movement that I'm altering children's minds every single day, and I think that my job is so important. And just the fact that I get to motivate kids on a educational level, it's super rewarding. It's super rewarding.
I can tell you're so passionate about it. Like, you make me cry because you've been through so much, and it's like, it just sounds that not only that have you been through a lot, like you've worked hard, but you're passionate about it, you know. And I think so many times people get into jobs and they don't really think about, like, why am I here, you know? And through all of that hard work and all that persistence, like, you have to kind of tap into, like, why am I here? Like, why do I really want it? That's the only thing that's gonna get through those long hours. I think people also think being a teacher is so easy. Like, you get summers off, it's so easy. Like, can you tell us like what it is like to have a day in the life here at Coney Island Prep, like for you? Like, what does that look like from start to finish?
I say that my job as an educator at Coney Island Prep is like being a teacher on steroids. That's how I describe it to other people who don't understand what my role is. I think that we start at, I'm usually in the building by 7 o'clock a.m. So like
7 a.m.
Yeah, so to think about that, living on Long Island, I have to wake up at like 5.
Got it.
I'm usually, unless I want to be like super early, 7 o'clock seems like standard time for most teachers too.
Yeah.
We have morning huddle at 7:30 a.m.
Okay.
And that's where our principal kind of tells us everything that we should look forward to the day, upcoming things that we should keep on top of mind as we go throughout the day. And then from 7:30 to 8 o'clock, it's homeroom. I'm currently grade team leader of the 5th grade, so I don't have a designated classroom where I'm in charge of. I stay in the hallway, make sure that scholars are going to and from classes, and making sure that their morning transition is easy and super like organized and calm, so that when they enter first period, that it's not like they're not as loud.
Yes, they're calm.
So from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I run the independent reading block with kids, where kids read on their independent reading level.
Okay.
And then from 9 to 10:30, it's my prep time, where like I prep for an upcoming lesson. I meet with my team to talk about the lesson that we'll teach that day. And then from 10:30 to 12, I'm teaching one of the cohorts that I teach.
Okay.
And then from 12 to 12:45, it's lunchtime, and I'm either doing one of 3 things. I'm either on bathroom duty, where I sign kids in to make sure that they're using the bathroom appropriately. I'm either mending the hallway. Manning the hallway.
This is your lunch break.
Yeah. Okay. Lunch break. Manning the hallway to ensure that scholars are again calm. And so that lunch runs smoothly. And then, or I'm in a meeting. One of the 3 things are happening. I'm never free during lunch. I'm always like eating and going. And then from 12:45 to 2:15, I teach my cohort, which I'm in charge of their grade book. So the cohort that I teach from 10:30 to 12, I'm co-teaching with another teacher, and she's in charge of that grade book, but I'm like supporting. And then from 2:15 to 3:45, that's my prep time again. So like usually I'll have meetings sometimes, or I'm prepping work that I want to get done for the next day, or like the upcoming week. And then from 3:45 it's homeroom again, and I'm manning the hallways again.
I'm like,
I'm manning the hallways again, and then making sure that dismissal is seamless. And then it's done. Unless I have a meeting after school, I'm free to go.
And when do you have time to lesson plan, or do you lesson plan yourself, or you have someone else that will help you with that? Like, how does that work too?
So it's super unique at Coney Island Prep because all of our curriculum is already designed for us. So the lesson plans are already created. We just tailor it to our kids and the needs that we see fit in our classroom. So we have one teacher on my ELA team that is in charge of writing lesson plans. The only thing that I have to do is internalize the lesson plan that I'm going to teach that day, based on the alterations that she's made to the original lesson plan. So I don't lesson plan necessarily, but it's more like making sure that it works for my kids.
And you've been doing this for so long, so I'm sure it's a lot
5
easier
years.
now.
I just think this past last week Friday, we had our end of year dinner, and they recognize teachers who's been at the organization for 5 years. So it was my 5-year anniversary. Go figure, right? It's happening in this one school year.
Yeah, that's nice.
So it was really nice. It's always nice to be recognized as a professional. And like when when someone at your school recognizes that you're doing really well, you feel valued.
Right, exactly. You feel valued as an employee, as a teacher, right? Because you have so many different roles. Like you're a parent during the day. Like there's just so many different things in being a teacher. And I think people again are just like, oh yeah, summer's off.
Yeah.
Or you're standing in front of a classroom and teaching, and that's it. But there's so much more to it. And I'm sure you love your job, as we hear. But like, can you tell us at least one thing maybe that you don't like about being a teacher in general? It doesn't have to be being a teacher here, but I mean in general. Like, what is it, that one least favorite thing?
I think that sometimes that, like, as you observed today, that, like, sometimes behaviors with kids can be overwhelming.
Right.
And you become frustrated. It's sometimes hard to stay emotionally constant in the moment because, like, just as a human being, you get annoyed.
Yes,
you get frustrated. So I think that's the most difficult part of the job is classroom management. Classroom management is the most difficult. I think that if they say if you either have it or you don't. And thankfully I have it, but it takes a lot to build up to that.
Right.
So I think that there's so many different personalities that you have to interact with in the classroom. So it's always, I have to say that's the most difficult. I can't even say lesson planning because it's not something that directly impacts me as much, but it definitely has to be classroom management.
Yeah.
It's definitely the hardest.
Yeah. I mean, I was there teaching for like a year with the little ones, right? And I was just like, okay, Johnny's over here blowing his nose. This one's
you gotta be good at
I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like,
multitasking.
oh wait, they have to actually know the lesson.
Yeah.
And then people are
Not
coming
to mention.
Yeah. I'm like, oh wait, you have to actually learn something. I'm like, okay, I got the classroom management down, but I'm like, oh wait, I forgot my lesson plan. You know, like it's so many different moving parts. But I'm really happy that you have it all down.
Sometimes I'm like, I have to take a second. I have to count in my head because it is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming.
I mean, you're human, and I think sometimes you have to like remind yourself of that. But I feel like also the kids could feel when you're off that day, and then they're like, Miss Robotham's off today. I'm gonna mess with her a little bit,
Yep. Mondays and Fridays are the hardest because kids are coming. They're not in a routine like they are during the week.
Right.
So Mondays they're coming. They're tired because Sunday they probably were hanging out late. Fridays they're over the entire week and they're ready to go.
Right.
So it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And it depends on the time of the year and the school year too. So like right now it's 2 weeks before school is over. Kids are ready to go.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They feel like they're worn out.
Yeah.
As their teachers are.
Right. Y'all ready for summer break? Everybody is sit on someone's beach. But I wanted to ask you too, like, I think first off I want to say I appreciate you telling your story. I think anyone listening to this, even myself, like I'm listening to you like, oh man, I gotta go back to work and like passionate, you know, but I really want to ask you, like, is there anything that you would go back and do differently, maybe throughout your career, if you felt like you wanted to change something? And not to say you have regrets, but like if there's something that you would go back and do differently.
I think that like after graduating with my bachelor's degree, I waited about 3 or 4 years before applying, and if I could go back, I would definitely go back, get my master's quicker.
Okay.
Because I felt like it would have allowed me to decide on a major. Maybe I would have specialized in something different.
Okay.
So through this journey, I noticed, I was like, I kick myself all the time. I was like, you waited so long to apply to grad school. Why did you wait that long? And I just couldn't decide if I wanted to stay a teacher or if I wanted to embark on a new journey as a professional. So like I contemplated, I went back and forth for a really long time on what I wanted to do in grad school, and then ultimately came back to education. Okay. So I guess if I could go back, that was something I would change. Going back to grad school, applying to grad school earlier.
I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that. I myself waited 7 years to go back, so I mean it happens. But I mean, also I wanted to ask you, like, what is some type of advice you would give to someone who wants to get into education or become a teacher or become like go into leadership like yourself right now? Like, what is like advice you would give to them?
I think like working hard. I feel like sometimes that like I'm like, oh, you could have did even more, but I'm like, you do work hard. You're follow every dream that you have and make sure that you're doing it to the best of your ability. I think that sometimes as a professional, we're like, oh, I didn't do this perfect, but you're not perfect. And I think that's something I would say is that we don't strive to be for perfection, we strive for excellence.
Right.
So just keep on working hard, and whatever you feel like it is, put your mind, your body, and your soul, because not only are you going to be making money doing this, but it has to be something that you're super passionate about. Absolutely. Because that's what's going to keep you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. I feel so honored.
I have to say thank you to Miss Robotham here for taking time out of her busy schedule, as you heard, for really sitting down with us. And I hope that whoever's listening to this and they want to become a teacher or get into education, they're really inspired by her story and, you know, just passionate about her journey and can learn something from it. I know I have today. But thank you again for joining us with the TC interviews. Follow us on the Career Motivator. Thank you.
Bye.